I'm Colleen Phelps from 91 Classical, and I'm at the Parthenon at Nashville's Centennial Park. In 1914, 2,000 women gathered here to hear Ann Dulles Dudley give the first open-air speech in Tennessee history. The subject? Votes for Women. 4 years later, Harry Byrne walked into the Tennessee state legislature with his mother Phoebe's words ringing in his ears. Hooray and vote for suffrage. We're celebrating the centennial of the ratification of the 19th Amendment with music by women. A piano recital performed here on 91 Classical by pianist Lara Downes. Lara Downes performing Farewell Summer by Amy Beach. Music from the 1920s, from the time of the suffrage movement. Hi, Laura.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
James Bennett II, writing for WQXR, refers to hearing your next piece, The Fantasy No. 1 by Florence Price, for the first time as like the experience of having really good macaroni and cheese for the first time. Where you think, I didn't know it could be like this. Describe what the piece is for you.
Number one, I love that so much. And I would say, yeah, I mean, exactly. That's kind of how I felt when I discovered this piece, which by now it's so many years ago. I can't believe how long I've been living with this piece of music, but it was a revelation. And it totally set me on a new path in terms of like just a world of discovery, of possibility, of like who was writing music when, you know? So Florence Price, I guess we should quickly say, first Black woman composer ever performed by a major symphony orchestra in this country, 1933. She was born in 1887. So, you know, at the time of the suffrage movement, she was a young woman. She was from a mixed race family, Little Rock, Arkansas, later migrated north to Chicago, and just had this extraordinary career. And the fantasy represents what she did so well and so beautifully and so like uniquely, which was to take the concert tradition in which she was trained. She went to the New England Conservatory, and the African American tradition of spirituals, and pull them together in this totally unexpected way, which is very pianistic and very romantic and just, it's very evocative. I think that's what James means. Maybe it just kind of like, it's something familiar, but better, you know?
And here it is, the Fantasy by Florence Price, performed by pianist Lara Downes. Fantasy by Florence Price, pianist Lara Downes performing for us at 91 Classical, today celebrating the suffrage anniversary. We have a new piece now, something brand new. How did Quiet Streets come about?
A brand new piece by my dear friend Elena Ruhr. And she and I started working together a couple of years ago when I made an album called Holes in the Sky, which was dedicated completely to work performed and composed by, I should say, composed and performed by women. And during quarantine, she called me and said, I have this music in my head that I need to write for you. And I think it's a piano concerto. She was dreaming about the quietness, the unexpected stillness of our deserted cities, which was something kind of beautiful and mysterious that came out of this, isolation and hardship. So she wrote this short piece called Quiet Streets, which is being expanded into a piano concerto.
Something to look forward to in a concerto, but for now, a lullaby to the quiet streets. Music by Elena Ruhr. Music for our time, from our time. Quiet Streets by Elena Ruhr. Pianist Lara Downes is performing here for us on the anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. Laura, you titled the program These Women Together, taken from a Sojourner Truth quote, and you've really created a celebration of women for the suffrage anniversary. What in particular about that phrase resonated for you?
Well, that's a quote from her famous speech, Ain't I a Woman? And as we observe this centennial, what is so real and relevant and essentially important right now and right here is to realize that that was one step along this quest for freedom, which is our national quest. When the 19th Amendment was passed, not all women had the right to vote. That didn't happen until much later, and we're still working for equal rights for everyone, keeping really connected to this idea that our right to vote is our most important right and responsibility in this country. I'm feeling it very profoundly right now. So that quote to me, it speaks about togetherness and unity, and how, our strength comes in our unity. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. So we can turn the world right side up again.
And of course, we get to see women together now. You collaborated on this next piece with another great pianist, Simone Dinnerstein. It's music by Meredith Monk, who always has some really imaginative sound in her pieces. What should we listen for?
Simona and I had so much fun playing together. Number one, it's just really fun to play at two pianos, and have that, I don't know, there's something about the way you balance your sound and your breath and your phrasing. Ellis Island, Simona and I really found some common ground there, because it's, of course, a tribute to Meredith's ancestors who came in through Ellis Island. And both Simona and I have history through Ellis Island as well in our families. And I think, because we were thinking about the creative power of women and sort of the power of women in general, to think of all those women who braved an ocean, who brought their children to an unknown, unseen land, just with the hope of giving them something better.
Lara Downes and Simone Dinnerstein performing music by Meredith Monk. Ellis Island by Meredith Monk, performed by Simone Dinnerstein and Lara Downes, celebrating the anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. It's a celebration of women today. Laura, it's easy to look at a program like this and see Billie Holiday at the end and think, oh, she's going to end with something light and fun. But Laura, I bet you look at Billie Holiday a little differently than that. What does her music mean to you?
So she had such an extraordinary life, you know, and in many ways a very tragic life. But to me, she represents the power that we have to make beautiful things out of even tragedy. You know, her music was so powerful. She was so expressive and so courageous and so daring in the way she made music and the way she lived her life, really, you know, as much on her own terms as she could. It's interesting when we're talking about rights and freedom and, you know, equality, the artists of color who were touring this country and the world at a time when that meant all kinds of discrimination and, you know, braved that, who took that upon themselves, not because they wanted to be heroes, but because they wanted to make music. And that's what they had to do to make music. So, you know, you think about all the indignities and all of the difficulties involved in being Billie Holiday, and yet she did it. God Bless the Child, to me, it's one of the few songs she wrote herself. It's a song about empowering yourself, taking control of your own destiny and making sure that you have what you need to make it through the world. And I think, you know, that's a message that we need still in so many ways. It's about strength and courage and perseverance. And, you know, in the end, all of that equaling something so unforgettable and so beautiful.
Wrapping up an evening of music for you here on the anniversary of the 19th Amendment's ratification. Lara Downes performs music by Billie Holiday.